up in Yavapai County. There was an older guy. We've got a couple of images, by the way, from where this all went. Once again, law enforcement putting their life on the line up in that Prescott area. Prescott police say that an older guy, 70 years old, armed with a blowtorch, ends up hospitalized. They were trying to arrest him. This was earlier this week on Wednesday. A 70-year-old guy named James Crespo wanted on a felony weapons charge out of Maricopa County. They found him. He was driving toward Prescott on Thumb Butte Road. They tried to pull him over. The spike strips were deployed, and as he approached, he pulled out a blowtorch, and the police and the sheriff's department watching all this out of his window, lit the torch. Car catches fire. It explodes like that. And we're also told that, of course, the guy was under arrest, but the sheriff's vehicle was also destroyed as part of this explosion. Boy, another violent day to report to you this morning, but police did a great job getting that one all wrapped up, and we just continue to watch some of the stories that come in this morning from outside of the valley. Yeah, it's been a violent week here in our city, but right across other parts of Arizona, we see it too. Well, we have got a real treat for you this morning here on Fox 10 Talks. For the first time ever, Shannon Bream, the host of Fox News Sunday, joins us live. And she's right there in her office in Washington. Hi, Shannon.
Hey, how are you?
Just great. Thanks for doing this.
I'm honored to be with you. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So for people who have not watched our show before and you're tuning in because you want to get Shannon's take on the big political stories of the day, we are on every morning at 10 o'clock sharp on both YouTube, the Fox local app. There's so many places you can watch us on Roku, on Samsung Live, on Tubi. We're everywhere. And we really appreciate Shannon's time so we can get a chance to get some of the her latest take on some of the big stories. Shannon, let's start with this. Let's start with the vitriol that has been aimed at Elon Musk. This morning we learned 14 states are going to sue him to try to stop him. They say he's too powerful. There was a congressman this week who said they needed to bring actual weapons to a fight in the streets to try to stop his effort to reduce the size of bureaucracy. So are you surprised at the kind of the level of vitriol that we're seeing? And legally speaking, can this effort be stopped, whether it's headed by Elon Musk or anybody else?
Well, they're going to try. I mean, the battle is in the courts. Despite the individual you mentioned who talked about taking it to the streets, that seems very ill-advised, whether it's coming from the left or the right, given the atmosphere we've had the last few years here in Washington and across the country, not to mention two assassination attempts on President Trump within the last few months. So it seems like that's not the language anybody should want to use in trying to win people over to their side. But about the legal battles, they're going to go on. There's a hearing this afternoon in federal court in New York. Another group of attorneys general from different states are also suing to try to stop any kind of access that any DOJ team members would have to Treasury information or payments. They say it's putting people's personal information at risk. We'll see what the judge decides there. And then the one that you mentioned, the newest one with these 14 attorneys general, basically saying that the appointment clause of the Constitution has been violated by this whole thing, that the DOJ entity that was set up and the power that Elon Musk has, that DOJ, that entity should have gone through Congress, a note about that in a second, and also that Musk has so much power, he should have had to go through a Senate confirmation. Now, about the entity that exists as DOJ, your listeners and viewers may know this. It was something I learned a week or so ago, that DOJ is actually built off of an entity that already existed. It's called the United States Digital Service Office. It was established years ago. So what the Trump team did was say, listen, this is an agency or an entity that already exists. We're going to rename it and repurpose it for DOJ. So they're going to argue, listen, the legal underpinnings of this entity were already there. But the court's also going to hear those arguments about whether Musk would have to be going through a Senate appointment to have the level of power that he does.
Isn't the risk, though, that when it comes to Elon Musk, you can vilify him all you want, and they know that President Trump's pretty popular, having won the election by a sizable margin in the Electoral College. Vilify Elon Musk, And I don't know, 6 months from now, a year from now, he's going to go back to running his car company and his space company, and he'll be out of there. But the cost cutting efforts are going to continue. And you just sort of lost the guy that you wanted to put in up there front and center as the enemy.
And do you want right now with the American people the optics of this saying, I'm going to go to the wall to fight over protecting government abuse and fraud and spending and waste? I mean, no Democrat is for that. No Republican is for that. They always talk about this, regardless of who's in power. There's so much waste in the system. Let's get it out. Let's give this money back to the American people and quit wasting their tax dollars that they get up and they scurry about getting the kids ready and getting to offices and punching the clock and working all day, whether it's at a gas station or as an engineer, or as a teacher, whatever. Nobody goes to work so that they can pay for some of these programs that we've heard about in the last few days. So I'm not sure that Democrats want this to be the hill that they die on, going after Elon Musk and saying, we're going to go after the guy who's fighting the waste and corruption versus let's join forces in some way and go after the waste and corruption. I just think that the Trump team has been so good at flooding the zone, and that was always the plan. The Democrats are trying to pick any potential fight that they can to try to slow this whole thing down. Not necessarily that they want to stop uncovering fraud and abuse, but they want to stop President Trump.
All right, so let's talk just a minute about J.D. Vance. A lot of vice presidents, who was it? Was it John Adams who said, it's like the worst job in America. You do nothing, something along those lines. He's already been on the world stage this entire week. And, we watched as he and the kids and Usha, the second lady, emerged from the plane as they landed in Paris. He's had a heck of a week, and he's going to cap it off now, what seems like a very high stakes meeting with the leader of Ukraine.
Yeah, and gosh, I think people, regardless of party, love this idea of having a young family back in Washington, either in the vice presidential residence or the White House. They love to see children and kind of that vibe of a family man. So I think seeing the kids going to Europe with him and his wife Usha, who is very accomplished in her own right, it's a sweet visual to be able to see this family going there together. And listen, he gave a barn burner of a speech this morning, whether people liked it or not. There were a lot of strong messages there to European allies, calling out things like censorship and these laws that shut people down for praying in front of an abortion clinic silently. I mean, he really went after them about censorship of ideas. But you're right, this very big meeting that he's going to have with Ukrainian President Zelensky, that is very high stakes potentially. We know that President Trump has been speaking with Putin and Zelensky. Secretary of State Marco Rubio did have a little plane problem, but he was turned around. He's back on his way, was trying to get there to the Zelensky meeting as well.
Yikes.
And I think, yes, and President Trump made this a big part of his campaign, getting this thing resolved. Nobody is going to get everything they want out of this, but he's really pressing them to actually get to the substantive talks for wrapping up this conflict.
And does this, do you think, lead to I don't know if you want to call it Cold War II, Cold War III, the relations between these two powers, Russia and the United States? But is that where we're headed? I think I heard that President Trump said he's maybe not opposed to letting Russia get back into the G7 or the G8, and kind of a thawing of relations, despite the fact that Vladimir Putin over the last 3 years or so has been seen as a pariah.
And I think that very much was the idea in the international community. Like, let's not reward this guy by allowing him to be a part of the G7, G8, or any of these other international entities. Like, he hasn't earned it. He's gone unprovoked into this conflict. He's going to say his reasons are that he was promised Ukraine wouldn't join NATO, and NATO's a threat if they share that border. I mean, Putin's going to have all kinds of excuses for what he did, but hundreds of thousands of people have died on both sides of this conflict and this unprovoked action. So President Trump has always had a different take on folks like Putin, like Kim Jong-un, about some of the worst out there, saying, I'd rather have them at the table, have a relationship, and be able to bargain with them, and that they know I mean business. He thinks it's better to have them as part of the conversation rather than to completely isolate them. And people will have different opinions on that. But he's talked about visiting Putin, or Putin coming here to visit, getting him together also with President Xi of China, and really getting a conversation going again between these world powers. So it'll be very interesting to see. He has a different way of navigating this, certainly, than his predecessor did.
Celeste joins me, by the way, as well. And Celeste, I thought we maybe wrap up checking a little bit about the new Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy.
Yes.
And then we'll have to say our goodbyes to Shannon. I have said only half jokingly, as long as he gets the aspartame out of diet soda and the bleach out of bread,
Please.
I'll be happy.
Okay,
But
progress.
yeah, for sure. But what did you want to ask her about? This new era at Health and Human Services.
Well, I think this was kind of like it was questionable as to whether or not he was going to get, obviously, the approval. I think it was interesting, Shannon, to listen to the hearings. What were your thoughts on the hearings, by the way?
You know what? He seemed prepared. I think he knew all of the dings on him, the criticisms of him, the
Right.
things that he said that he's had to sort of own. I mean, he had to really walk through a lot of those. I noticed, though, it seemed like a lot of the senators would throw something out that is something controversial attached to him or in some way part of his record, and then not allow him to answer the question. And I'm thinking, well, as an American, I'd like to know if he has any possible explanation or justification for what they're throwing at him. But I found in many cases he wasn't even able to answer the question before they talked over him or moved on or said it's a yes or a no. And listen, a lot of questions don't have a yes or a no answer, or at least there's some nuance to them. So what struck me from his hearings is that in many times and places he didn't get to explain, and I would have liked to have heard more about his explanation on some of these things. But once you had a few of those key senators that were in question
Hmm.
say on the record they would vote for him, it really started to look like one of the most impossible confirmations became possible.
Well,
Shannon, we got about. Oh,
I
sorry.
was just going to say I'm a fan too. The Make America Healthy Again, Ron.
Yeah, there you
Diet
go.
Coke's on the top of the list.
Okay.
We could use a little health.
Yeah. Well, we got about 30 seconds left. Shannon, tell us about your show Sunday morning at 8 on Fox 10 TV.
Yeah, we're going to have National Security Advisor Mike Waltz to talk through Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Iran, all of those hotspots, China too. Then we've got senators from both sides of the aisle, Barrasso and Kaine, to talk through the funding battles here in Washington. As we talk about, we're going to run out of money March 14th if they don't figure it out.
Okay. Well, I tell everybody, you got to start your Sunday with Shannon's show. It's Fox News Sunday, one great hour, 8 a.m. out here in Phoenix on Fox 10. Shannon, thank you.
Thank you,
Yvonne and
Shannon.
Celeste, thank you. Have a great weekend.
Okay.
Love your office, by the way. It looks nice
It's
in
a little
there.
messy,
Nice.
but thank you.
Yeah. Okay, good. Hey, so that is great. We really appreciate Shannon giving us some of her time this morning. Celeste, guess what?
It's mystery cam time.
Here we are. This is a nice shot.
Wow.
Okay, you guys, give us your guesses. Give us your feedback with Shannon, too. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. And we welcome you back. We are watching this particular intersection in what appears to be kind of a sort of a cool town up against the mountains somewhere, but I don't really see, maybe just a patch of snow here or there. Celeste, what do you think?
Well, I think it's midday.
And I like Susan with Nebraska. Thank you,
Yes.
Susan.
We've got a Montana from Lisa Dinsmore. Leo Max says Jersey.
Yeah.
Sherry, Nevada Pup. She's been winning lately. She said Kansas. I think she won 2 in a row this week.
Really? Okay, then I'm going Kansas too. How about you?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right.
Okay, I'll
Ride
go
her coattails.
West Virginia.
Okay.
I'm going to go West Virginia
All
all
right,
week.
here she is, everybody, on the Celeste cam.
Hello. Okay, let's go ahead and check this out. Oh, State College, PA.
Oh, is that right?
Ron, what did
Okay.
I say during the break? I was like, it looks like
You
Pennsylvania.
did say that.
But I
Yeah.
thought it looks like they probably would have more snow, but maybe it's melted.
They call it the Happy Valley.
Oh, okay.
Corey grew up a couple hours drive from here in Pennsylvania. And he says it's really a pretty town.
Oh,
and you
it
can
is
see the mountains.
gorgeous.
I could have spent more time in Pennsylvania, that's for sure. Should have gone with your gut, Celeste.
I know.
Okay. Hey, by the way, I just thought we would, we have a new viewer in Northern Ireland.
I believe it's taffety.
Yeah, if you're watching today, buddy, we got a picture for you right now. Let me just pull it up. Fond memories of Northern Ireland.
Oh, your umbrella. This is brilliant.
I went for a walk. I was over there. This is a castle. It's called Castle Leslie.
Yes.
It's where Paul McCartney and Heather Mills got married.
Oh, wow.
And it's an ancient castle. Well, ancient. I mean, it's probably 150 years old. And so I wanted to go see it and stay there. But when we went for the walk, it just blew that umbrella to smithereens,
Wow.
Celeste.
It's so green in Ireland, right? That it's you got to
Yes.
imagine it's
And Northern Ireland.
and Northern Ireland,
Yeah.
rainy and cloudy, right? To allow that grass and all the green
Yes.
to grow.
Well, okay, so we hope you're watching again today. We love our everyday viewers. I like what Leo Max, Ron's been everywhere,
Do you-
man.
Sherry Nevada Pub said, "Oh no, just like the Chiefs, no three-peat for me, LOL," because she's won the last 2 days.
Well, you'll be back on your game on Monday. Hey, our poll question coming out of our interview with Shannon, this is really interesting. 24% say his main focus for President Trump should be ending that war in Ukraine. Let's get that thing over. It's been 3 years. Wiping out Hamas, rebuilding Gaza, 14%. And 60% now are saying just focus on issues inside the USA.
Well, there was a comment, Ron. It said Chumps 7974 on the poll
Yeah.
said, what happened to lowering grocery prices? But I think you can lump that into the bottom one that says only focus on issues inside the U.S.
Yes,
Grocery
sure.
prices are really going, they're rising.
Oh, they
Gas
are.
prices are rising.
Eggs up 15%
It's
last month.
Crazy, 50% since the same time last year.
I know it hasn't gotten a lot of talk, but somehow I think it's going to become a priority with this new administration to figure out the bird flu.
Yeah.
This was never a problem 10 years ago.
No.
15, 20 years ago, never a problem.
And maybe that's what RFK Jr. is going to be on, making
maybe
America
so.
healthy again. Maybe
Yeah.
that's kind of a collaboration with him in another department.
But that'll help. And then we did have the retail sales numbers. It's such a fine line because retail sales numbers were way down, way lower than what they thought they were going to be for last month, for the month
Right.
of January. And that's going to be a sign of slowing the economy, which then, we'll finally get interest rates down a little bit and hopefully
Yeah.
bring inflation down a little
Let's
bit
hope.
too. So it's you can't turn that ship in 1 month,
No.
but hopefully in the next few months, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Did you see what happened? Everybody, when the lady or guy who was driving in the SUV, hold on. Stand by, everybody. I'm going to get you the video I want here in just a second. Yeah, VO8. All right.
Thank you, Brian.
I'm looking at VO8. It's not, well, that's a kayaker.
Hey, we can talk about kayaking any time
I'm
of the
afraid
day.
we're going to have to because I keep coming up with...
Oh, that Flagstaff video
oh,
too. All
you know
the
what it
snow
is.
they've had in the higher elevations. It has been really amazing.
yeah.
So this morning we have Susan Anthony. She says she's in Payson. She watches every day. Susan
Oh.
Anthony, thank you for watching.
Yes.
And we'd love to see, by the way, if you want to DM us. I'm on Instagram at Celeste Fox 10, and Ron's Foxtowns on Instagram as Hooner Foxtown, but we love seeing your photos of all the beautiful snow you've received in the higher elevations, like in Payson, Susan, where you're at, and in eastern Arizona, but this is up in Flagstaff, Ron.
Yeah, and I thought it would be cool. So this was just before sunrise there, and they haven't actually had much sun at all. So this is like 6:30 in the morning.
Yes.
That's what it looked like then, and here it is, ladies and gentlemen, live right now.
So awesome.
So it looks like the snow has stopped, but that picture is frozen, but that is our live view. We'll probably see those vehicles move here in just a second or two. But that's what's going on up there in Flagstaff, and you can see Old Glory to the right. It's been windy and gusty.
Oh, look at the snowplow truck out. You know,
Yeah.
Ron, this is a really great, I mean, we talk about the weather and all the snow and everything, but there's so much history
Yeah.
in this shot. You see the Babbitt brothers. It's a
Yeah,
big
you
ranching
do.
family here in Arizona from the 1800s.
Yeah.
And then a little bit farther down on the left-hand side on that corner, the two-story, that's the Weatherford Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
That's been around forever. And during New Year's, they drop a big pine cone from the second story of the Weatherford, and they close that whole intersection down.
I got to go up there some year
It's
for
so
New Year's.
cool.
I think it
It's
is
so great.
really great. Okay, I'm going to try one last time on VO8 because for whatever reason, it's not popping up the way I want. But boy, we got a lot of other video to share with. Oh, there it is.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was on VO11.
Look at that.
Oh, this is Utah. Okay, this is a suburb of both Salt Lake City and Ogden called Layton. And here's what happened. The driver, I guess we got to hide their identity because they're embarrassed, got past the gate and then is trapped, basically. You can't go backwards. You could have gone forward.
Why didn't he go forward?
Or
Yeah.
guy, you could have gone forward. But, I mean, the clock is ticking. You got to make a last-second decision. That could have been really, really bad. And he walked away. He or she walked away. But it seems to me there's going to be some front-end damage to that vehicle, Celeste.
I don't think it's totaled, though, Ron.
I'm not an insurance adjuster, but I do think there's some front-end damage there.
Oh, my goodness.
Anyway, I'm trying to remember what they call their version of the light rail, but they have all kinds of train service. But in this case, the train was not able
That
to
is
stop
scary.
in time, and there's one last look. All right, speaking of scary, now I'm glad I found that source for us. By the way, I have so many buttons I get to punch here. But I did want to show you this story that came in this morning from overseas because watch what happens. Here's a guy on a kayak. And there's a gigantic whale. And the whale
Wow.
ate him, Celeste.
Somebody
Swallowed him.
Somebody in our chat box said modern day Jonah.
Yes,
That's
right.
exactly what he was.
So we know it happened once in the Bible, and now
Yes.
it's happened in Chile. Now we know twice. But in this case, the whale swallows him up and spits him out. Either he spit him out or he swam out of the situation. His dad, thank goodness, was
Wow.
out there with him. And you can imagine, I have a feeling his heart rate probably doubled or
Oh my
quadrupled.
gosh. Yeah, that was Leo Mack, by the way. He said the whale was crazy, a modern day Jonah. And he survived.
Yes. Yes.
How did he?
The whole
I wonder
thing
if
is
he had a
just
few scratches
amazing.
from like whale teeth or something, I
Probably.
wonder what it smells like in
Well,
there.
yeah.
Like fishy,
I know,
probably.
because they never did report on that when Jonah was in the whale.
No, in
Right?
fact,
We all-
didn't Jonah like light a lantern or something in there too? I was like, what is happening? This is awesome.
Well, anyway, all's well that ends well, but he's got a story that was caught on camera, so he's got the proof, and he can share it with his grandkids for the rest of his life. Oh, there's one other story, Celeste. I just thought after we were talking about the trouble with the vehicle, what happened at the Grand Canyon the other day is just a mystery, but a guy drove right through the wall and right over the edge right there.
Whoa.
And, we don't know if it was purposeful. There have been obviously incidents where people think they're hitting their gas or they're hitting the brake and they hit the gas, or they think they've got it in drive and they've got it in reverse. We don't know. But he went right over the edge. Of course, he didn't survive. They found his vehicle 1,000 feet
Oh,
down
wow.
into the canyon.
That is so scary. So where is it? Was this at the South Rim or the North Rim?
They said it was over by the Yavapai Geology Museum, so it had to be South Rim. And, you never can
It gives you an idea of how close you can get, though, to the edge of the
Yeah.
canyon.
Well,
And
that wall, I think, it's just a little like a
like,
pony wall, I think they would call it.
yes.
Maybe 2 feet tall, if that. I
And
mean, it's
people
not
usually
going to
sit there.
stop you.
Yeah, people usually sit there to take the photos.
Right.
Yeah, that's scary.
But it just happened to be right at a spot where there was really, there's no turning back. I mean, you're right up on the edge. So it's a sad deal, but it's just a note of caution for anybody who is ever thinking about going up there and spending any time at the Grand Canyon. Unfortunately, I did a little research, Celeste, because I
Okay.
figured you were going to ask. As of the end of September, the Park Service had calculated 16 people had died
Wow.
in 2024. And I'm not sure about the last 3 months. We'll get an update from them pretty soon, but normally about a dozen people a year. But they've had all kinds of problems up there this past year. And part
Yeah.
of it is more people every single year go to the Grand Canyon.
And we have a lot of people internationally that travel just to Arizona to head to the Grand Canyon. And when you're hiking the canyon, there's a couple
Mm-hmm.
of quick things. It
Yeah.
can get icy. So
Yes.
they sell those ice clamps you can clip on the bottom of your sneakers if you don't have them.
Right.
There's no ledge. There's no like railing around many areas of
Right.
the
Yeah.
hike, like Bright Angel Trail. You are at the mercy of your own whereabouts. Like,
Equilibrium.
thank you. Like
Yeah.
you have to be able to hike and do it
Yeah.
well and know where you're at and keep yourself,
Yeah.
steady.
But I will say that Bright Angel Trail going all the way down
Beautiful.
to Phantom Ranch, it's spectacular. Celeste, we just got about a minute or so left. Kind of bummed to report that Denny's is going to be closing a bunch more locations
Oh
in
no.
2025. I don't like this at all. They said last year they closed 88, and this year it could be as many as 90. I love Denny's.
I know. It's like the old like diner. It's a steady diner. If you go to
Yeah.
Denny's, you know what you're gonna get.
Right. So I think what's going on is they're closing some of their oldest stores
Mhm.
in their poorest performing neighborhoods
Okay.
because they just build a brand new one out there on Signal Butte Road in Mesa.
Well, that's where we gotta go then.
And I washed my car right next door at the car wash there, and I keep thinking, I got to get a hold of Celeste, and we'll get over there and have a breakfast.
Denny's has a sweet spot in my heart
Why?
because my grandfather would go there every Saturday morning when my grandmother passed away.
Oh, yeah.
And so my thought that I would go with him on Saturday mornings, and
Yeah.
so we would get to know the people who work there.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
For me, it was my dad and IHOP. We had a lot of great
Yeah.
times. Celeste, we got to say our goodbyes,
Oh
believe it or
no.
not.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.